Hello and welcome back everyone to Stylized Environments with Blender for Geometry Nodes. In the last lesson we finalized our tiles to go on the roof, and now we're going to go ahead and actually get this gap sorted as well. If we leave it as is, it's not going to look quite right, since the gap itself is going to make the rain fall in unwanted area in the middle. So we need to go ahead and sort it. And instead of just using a geometry node for tiles, in this particular case, I recommend you to just do the modeling normally, as we'll have more control over the deformation of how we want the tiles to be. So we're going to start off by actually getting ourselves a simple cube. Let's go ahead and hit Shift A, get ourselves a cube, and we're going to actually make it quite a bit smaller. Click GZ, drag it upwards like so. And I will go on to solid shading like so we could just see the modeling aspect of this setup. We're going to go ahead now and make this quite a bit smaller. We're going to click SZ and just make it smaller like so. A bit thicker, SZ. And we're going to click GZ, drag it downwards, click S, make it quite a bit smaller. Now we're going to bring it all the way to the front over here. And we're going to do so by clicking GY, bring it to the front like so. Now we want it actually to deform. We don't want this to be plain. So the way we're going to do it is we're going to go on to editing mode. We're going to hit Control and R. We're going to grab ourselves an edge loop. So left mouse button, right mouse button, just to get one in the middle, like so. And we're going to now click GZ just to bring it upwards like so, to around this amount. I reckon that's going to be quite all right. We're now going to go ahead and click Control B, and we're going to make an extrusion, sorry, not an extrusion, beveling operation. We don't want it to be too much, so something like this. We're now going to go ahead and increase the segments. We can just do it using this menu over here on the bottom left. If you're not seeing it, just make sure you click on this tab to open it up, and we can just increase the amount like so. And setting it to 4 is going to be good. Just in case, I'm going to set it to 5, just to make sure we have enough amount to work with. I'm going to now right click and set shade to auto smooth. And I will increase the angle like so. That seems to be quite all right. Now we'll also add a modifier. Let's go ahead and add ourselves a bevel like so. And we're going to hold shift and just drag it down a little bit like so. It seems to be not giving us the right setup. I will go ahead and actually right click, go back to shade flat, just to see what's going on with this amount. And it seems that because it's picking up those angles at the top, it's not giving us the right value. So I'm going to start increasing the angle until we get this kind of amount. So a value that's close to 90, 85 is going to be quite all right. 84 in this particular case. Also, I just realized that we did scale this down, so we do need to reset the scaling. Otherwise, the beveling is not going to work properly. Let's go ahead and click Control and A. And we're going to use rotation and scale, and that's going to fix it. There we go. We now need to readjust this a little bit like so. So holding shift, I'm just going to drag it like so. And that's what we're going to get. That's exactly what I want, actually. That's quite nice. Let's go ahead and keep it. We'll lower the angle a little bit, actually. 97, 95. There we go. 59. So we could actually get these bits at the corner over here. Just making sure the top is not getting picked up, which is not. So I'm quite happy with the result. Let's go ahead now and right click, shade auto smooth. And this is what we're going to get, a nice tile to work with. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and make sure that we are tiling this across the roof. And we're going to do so by hitting add modifier. Actually, before doing that, I'd like to make this a little bit bigger. We're going to hit tab, go into edit mode, hit A, press SY, just scale it outwards like so, just a little bit. There we go. It's a bit wider. I like the shape a little bit more. Let's go ahead and add a modifier. Search for array. And nice usability will be to just drag it across. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to make sure it's not going in X and instead it's going in Y. So let's go ahead and switch these up. And now we're going to increase the count by quite a bit, by 6. And we are going to just shrink it back down because we want it to be actually overlapping with one another. So this is going to be shrunk down to a value of, I'm going to hold shift for this, and to a value of, let's see, maybe something like that. I will need to increase this a little bit actually. So let me just go ahead and do that. So GY, just increase it a little bit. And there we go. We are using a relative offset in this case, which will end up affecting the way it works when we're changing the overall shape. So if I'm changing this, the offset is going to be behaving differently. If we wanted to be acting the constant offset, we can turn this off and we can go to constant offset over here. And that's going to give us a better result. So let's go ahead and actually use this instead. So we're going to make it going right up to this point basically. So holding shift, I'm just going to make it like so. I think that's quite nice. And there we go. It's going to go a little bit outwards, which I quite like. I'm going to hit tab, GZ, and just drag it downwards a little bit as well. There we go. So now that we are using constant offset instead of relative offset, if we were to select these all, and actually might have made a mistake. Let me just go ahead and check. I'm going to hit Alt Z to see, and yes, I did. I did not select all of the vertices whilst doing that. The reason being is if we were to make a selection with just a normal selection like so, we're going to have an issue where the topology sometimes is not going to get picked up. So for example, if I do it from this angle over here, you can see that these bottom vertices are not going to get picked up. So we need to make sure we do it within the wireframe mode. And by clicking Alt and Z, we can just go ahead and go into the wireframe mode, which will allow us to now select all the vertices that pass through the selection box like so. I'm going to click SY0 just to make sure that all of them are leveled. And now I'm going to click Alt and Z and actually talk a little bit in regards to the constant offset. So now we can, when we click GY, we can move it out and move it outwards of the object, and you can see the offset itself is not actually going to be affected. So that's exactly what we want. I want to just slightly bring it outwards like so, and I think I'm quite happy with this result. Although the front, I can just go ahead and select it. So Alt Z and select it, and Alt Z back to see the normal solid wireframe. I think it's a little bit too much. Plus this at the front is not going to be quite as visible. We want to cover it up a little bit with a decoration, which we're going to do. So I'm going to click GY, just bring it back like so. And yeah, I'm quite happy with this result. I think this looks quite nice. Now let's go ahead and actually make sure that we are setting ourselves up with a bit of elevation. So these tiles are actually just overlaid on top of one another. The way we're going to do it is we'll firstly need to add some topology. So it's not going to just, when we raise this like so, it's not going to just be looking vertical. We want to have a bit more of variation in curvature instead of just straight lines. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit Control R. We're going to use our mouse wheel to scroll it up until we get 3 edge lines. And then we're going to click left mouse button, right mouse button, and that's how we're going to get ourselves nice edge loops to get a better topology. So now we're going to hit Alt Z. We're going to select these at the front like so, hit Alt Z again just to go out of it. And this time we're going to use something called proportional editing. So if we were to click proportional editing over here, we can click GZ and you'll see that everything is moving in a bit of an odd way. The reason it's looking like that is because it's actually being affected by a proportional brush. Now, if we were to scroll down, or sorry, if we were to scroll up, we're going to see this circle coming onto our view. And this circle is basically what controls how it's being affected. So right now, the smaller the circle, the less it's going to have of a radius affected. So you can visualize how it's going to be affecting it. We want it to be going slightly outwards like so. And I think that's quite all right. And I'm going to just nicely place it on top of one another in regards to the tiles like so. And we're going to get ourselves a nicely curved base for the top of the tiles. And I think that actually looks quite nice. So there we go. All right, we're pretty much done with the tiles for the top. We now just need to apply a texture. Let's go back onto our material view. And for this particular case, let's go ahead and actually just simply automatically UV unwrap, see how that works. I'm going to hit Control and A first to reset rotation and scale, just in case it had some additional appliances upon it. And now we're going to go on to the UV editing mode, like so. Going to find these tiles. We're now going to apply the array. The reason being is that if we were not to apply the array whilst UV unwrapping, it's actually going to give us an issue where every single tile is going to be exactly looking the same in regards to the textures. So let's go ahead and just simply select the array. Let's click apply. And now we're going to have each one of those pieces as individual meshes, which is exactly what we want. Now we're going to finally add the texture. So let's go ahead and go on to material tab over here. Let's search for a roof, and there we go. A nice tile texture. We now need to just simply make sure that we have a nice texture applied. So I'm just going to zoom right in like so we can see all the noise. I'm going to hit tab to go on to editing mode, selecting all by clicking A, clicking U, and Smart UV Project. By doing this, we're going to get ourselves a nice setup. Let's hit tab to see the noise in comparison to the other tiles. I think the noise is a little bit too small, so I'm going to go ahead and select all by clicking A in the edit mode, then hit S within the UVs and just scale it down as well. And before we forget, I will turn off the proportional editing. Let's make sure we not forget to do that. Otherwise, it's going to cause us an issue for modeling something and trying to move something, and it starts moving everything all at once. So UV editing and the viewport both share the same proportional editing. So just make sure you have this ticked up. Now we can go back onto modeling and see how it looks like. And yeah, we're pretty much set in regards to the tile. So let's go ahead and move on with the rest of the roof. So thank you so much for watching, and I will be seeing you in a bit.